Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the ships at sea. Tonight you will see a different type of video from this puppet than any that have come before. You see, I had a hard time this week deciding on one central topic, so what you are about to see and hear are the various mostly incoherent ramblings of this puppet relating to almost anything and maybe everything making the current news cycle. Now with that in mind, keep in mind also that this puppet watches not 1 second of mainstream media, quote, newscast. Instead, I keep my ear to the ground and pick up what's being put down. First up, whatever happened to Vivek Ramaswamy? I thought from the early reports that he was to co-lead the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, along with Elon Musk. Instead, all we hear now is how Elon Musk is unearthing anything and everything with DOGE, but not a word about Ramaswamy. Did Vivek get cold feet? Did he not want to play second fiddle to media hound Musk? Maybe some of you can comment below and let this puppet know. And that, my friends, is a nice segue into exactly what the Department of Government Efficiency is unearthing and larger ramifications thereof. First, unless you have been hanging in the mountains of Montana at Ted Kaczynski's old cabin, you have to have heard about a formerly mostly unknown alphabet agency otherwise known as USAID, or United States Agency for International Development, and the now known widespread abuse of your and my tax monies through this money laundering operation. What we've heard so far is that it was being used to fund DEI hiring initiatives overseas, propaganda source Politico, and yes, even funding of gain-of-function research at the criminal Wuhan lab. You know, stuff that we would all be appalled at had we known that our hard-earned dollars were being wasted upon such items. But this puppet has thought of something else relating to the seemingly nefarious alphabet agency. Is Felon Joe the only money launderer in chief who's abused this federal slush fund? Why did President Trump not know about this mosh pit of abuse during his first term in the Oval Office? And what did presidents in decades prior know about or specifically perform with this emblem of governmental overreach? USAID was formed way back in 1961. And that is an awfully long time period for any president afterward to do potentially abusive things with it. A good point to ponder, this puppet believes. Next up in the way of topics that this puppet believes deserve some conversation, I think we all have to be proud of the job being done so far by one Donald J. Trump. As we all knew from his prior stint at the helm, he is a man of his word and a leader with an actual functioning scrotum. Viewers, we are witnessing greatness at work and something not witnessed in any of our lifetimes. Trump cares not a single bit about the perceptions of the mentally ill left or the progressive woke criminals. Instead, he has a mind to right the wrongs of the past 4 felonious years we all suffered through, and has set out to get this country back to where it belongs. The days of woke DEI quotas at federal agencies are thankfully over, and criminal trespassers on U.S. soil are being deported at rates never before seen, no matter which side of the political aisle the president came from. Trump is a true Renaissance man, able to get the job done no matter the obstacle in his way. The true shame is that he can only serve 4 more years, in this puppet's humble opinion. And then I want to know what is going to happen with Vladimir Putin, Vladimir Zelensky, and the, quote, special military operation, unquote, that Felon Joe was so fond of spending billions of dollars upon during his 4-year reign of terror. By no means is this puppet asking President Trump to continue funding Ukraine in this war, but I am curious all the same as to how long this can last before one side wears down the other. That said, this puppet is not at all in favor of aggressor states invading neighbors. I just want our tax dollars to actually go to help Americans for once, instead of all the warmongering that we have witnessed since the times of Bush Sr. In case you have not noticed by now, there are millions of homeless people here who not a single president up to now has done much to assist. No country should receive our hard-earned monies until that situation and myriad others are dealt with first. Now let's address the elephant in the room. It is now widely known that the Biden cartel was far-reaching in its strategies, schemes, and felonies committed. Sure, President Trump most likely does not want to go into tit-for-tat lawfare. However, there is something here known as accountability and responsibility that needs badly to be addressed. If we as a nation are to be truly believe that no one is above the law, as was laughingly preached through Felon Joe crime spree, then the law must go after the Biden cartel, plain and simple. And let's look at the scope of the crimes committed and their real impact on American society. If nothing is done to these racketeers, what message does that send to the rest of society as a whole? Michael Franzese, a former New York mobster, has openly stated that the Biden cartel has committed far more racketeering crimes than his mafia family did back in the 1980s. That should be enough to get the indictment started, I think. Now, I realize that Felon Joe tried to prevent the cartel from facing convictions by his felonious presidential pardoning powers, but none of that prevents states suing the cartel or civil law cases brought against their racketeering bunch. Think Letitia James and Fannie Willis, but on an actually justified basis this time around. Has anyone else watching this video noticed the things being exposed in only 3 weeks of Trump that would have remained buried had anyone else gotten elected? You know, things like the Chinese communists running the Panama Canal and no one in power doing a single thing to stop it. What else would we expect from a felon in office who previously accepted millions in bribes from Xi Jinping? You know, way back when this puppet attended middle school, we learned about a traitor named Benedict Arnold, who was tried for treason and betraying the Americans for the British during this Revolutionary War. Can someone please tell me how this case differs from what we have just witnessed with the Biden cartel? Next, kids and cousins, is it just me or has anyone else taken notice of the silence of the left since Trump took office? Now, some are calling it a calm before the storm, or is it possibly the mentally ill finally lying down and admitting to their mental illness after throwing temper tantrums for the past decade plus? One can only hope it is the latter and not the former. Why has Trump so far undertaken everything from rightfully freeing the January 6th hostages to reclaiming the Panama Canal for America, all while seemingly ignoring the compromised U.S. Secret Service of Kim Cheadle? Yes, Trump has systematically stripped the FBI of its felonious power brokers from the prior criminal regime, all while seemingly having forgotten about the DEI-compromised Secret Service agency that nearly cost him his life last July in Pennsylvania. This puppet, for one, believes it is high time to also systematically disassemble that criminal agency and rebuild it from the ground up, all before another high-ranking U.S. government official loses their life. Has anyone under the sound of my voice wondered why Trump demanded Mexico and Canada step up their border securities or else, and got quick results, but neither Soetoro nor Biden seemingly had the ability to accomplish similar results? Were they truly as incompetent as now seems apparent, or just kowtowing to their New World Order bosses, as also seems readily apparent? And that, friends and colleagues, leads this puppet into yet another nice segue. I'm the most relieved to see President Trump deny funding to NATO and WHO after so many years of them taking up the woke, progressive, and even communist causes of these very evil players on the world stage with U.S. tax dollars. There is zero reason the United States of America should be backing these horrendous machinations of woke, progressive, world rule agendas even a second longer. And Trump is by far doing the right thing again. Wow. Also, friends, is there anyone besides myself who is celebrating the United States exiting stage right on an atrocity called the Paris Accords? Sure, Greta Thunberg will be shedding crocodile tears, but no one cares much about that anyway. Finally, my viewers, I leave you with this. The United States and hopefully the rest of the world are on a far better track now than only 3 short weeks ago, and this puppet is most grateful for that. Good night, my loyal viewers, and sleep well.